Hey guys, welcome to my YouTube channel startcrash. This is Ryan. Today in our Adobe Photoshop tutorial series, we are going to learn about the selection tools in detail. If you have watched our previous video, then you came to know that in this series' second episode we did a quick overview on the toolbar section. And if you haven't watched our previous video of this series, then you can watch them just by clicking on the I button on the top right corner. If you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, then subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon to receive the notification of every upcoming video. As you know, Adobe has classified the toolbars in 7 different categories. And today we are going to learn about the selection tool, which is also the first category in the toolbar section. Let me first quickly tell you selection tools consist of 4 different tools, and they are Move Tool, Marquee Tool, Lasso Tool, and the last one is Selection Tool. These tools also have variants in themselves and have some tools hidden beneath them. Marquee tools have different variants like Rectangle Marquee Tool, Elliptical Marquee Tool, Single Column Marquee Tool, and Single Row Marquee Tool. Whereas in Lasso Tool we can see that it consists of 3 different tools, and they are Lasso Tool, Polygon Lasso Tool, and Magnetic Lasso Tool. And there are Object Selection Tools, Quick Selection Tools, and Magic Wand Tools in the last one. So let's start the video. First, let me quickly create a new canvas. We are using the same presets which we were using before in our introduction video. Here, the canvas is. The first one is the Move tool. We can say the basic function or work of the Move tool is to move any selected object, pixels present in the canvas. But before using any tools, keep in mind that you always need to create a new layer to add any object or use any tool, because if you draw anything using a brush tool without creating a new layer, then you won't be able to move or transform that object into different places and shapes. So to move any tool in Photoshop, we need to create a new layer and use it. Let me tell you how. Now I am going to use the brush tool to draw anything on the canvas. So by looking into the layers section, you can know that something is drawn in the background layer. And if we try to move this drawn object, then the whole background layer will move if you haven't locked the layer. And the paint made by brush is permanent and you can't either transform or move it. So if you want to move this paint, then you always need to create a new layer. By going down into the layers section, here we can find a new layer. Now you can see a new layer named Layer 1 is present here in the layers section. Let's use the brush tool and try to move that. Now you can see that it is moving. So it's like putting something transparent like a mirror and working upon it. Even if I want to make it a little more smaller or bigger, then I can transform it into a different shape, which wasn't possible if I had painted in the background layer. The last and the important part of any tool is the Properties section, which is on the top bar of the Photoshop window. Here you can see that every tool has their own different types of properties. Let's talk about the properties of Move Tools. Here you can see that it has an Auto Select box check. Basically, this is used to select the layers or group automatically when we click on the object in the Canvas section. The next one is Show Transform Controls. If we check this box, then it will show us something like this. As currently, we have selected Layer 1. So we can either increase or decrease the size of the content in the layer using this property. Before moving to the next one, first delete this new layer. These are the align which are used on the selected region. Let's see how this works. Here I select some areas using the Rectangle Marquee tool. Now we can use these alignments. Currently, we have selected background layers, so the background layer will align based on the selected region. Next to these alignments is the option of More Alignments and Settings. Next to it we have 3D mode options. But currently we don't have any 3D objects in this file, so we will try this someday in future. Now the other 3 are the major selection tools, as they are used to select any particular region or area in the canvas. As I said earlier, the selected layer is the working layer in the canvas. Similarly, the selected area in the particular layer is only the working area. Let's see how it works. Select some area using the Rectangle Marquee tool. Now, if you try to use either a brush tool or gradient tool outside of the box, then you can see that it won't work there. But if we use the same tools on the selected area, then it will work. So whatever you make changes in this canvas, it will only change in this selected region. It is also said that the selected region is only the working area in Photoshop. Let's talk about the properties of Marquee Tools. Here you can see that you have 4 different icons, and which represent different things in their own way. The first one here with a single square box, which represents the new selection whenever we try to use any 3 selection tools. Even if we try to use Lasso or Quick Selection Tools, the functions and use of the icons are the same. So new selection represents that whenever we try to make any new selection, then it will also remove the previous one. If I try to make another selection and see how the first one disappears. Moving into the next one, we have Add to Selection. The major role of this is to add more selection to the previous one. Like if you want more than one or want to select more area, then you can simply choose Add to Selection and you can select as much as you want. We can even use this to add selection by overlapping to each other. The next one is just the opposite of the previous one. This is Subtract to Selection. If we want to remove any part from the selection, then we can use this. This will remove the desired portion from the selected part and helps to choose the objects more clearly. The last one in this list is Intersect to Selection. While using this, it will only select the common area between both selections. It works similarly as Subtraction to Selection, but in this we have to unselect the region which we want to subtract from the selection. After these for selection options, we can find the option of Feather. So as I check the function of this tool in Adobe website, it says that it is used to make edges soft and even blend the images. Let's increase the value. Here I am making a selection using the rectangle Marquee tool, and still you can see that there are curves in the edge section. If I use the brush tool over this and try to fill the color, then you can see that we are able to see the color even outside the selected region. Let me zoom this. This is because we have used the Feather tool. In some cases, you may have to change the feather radius, so you can do it in an alternative way too. Create a new selection and right-click over it. Here you have a few options like Deselect, Select Inverse, and in third you can see the Feather option. You can click over the option and increase or decrease the radius of the feather and hit the OK button. If we again right-click over the selection, then you can see other options, like Deselect, which is to undo the selection. To undo the selection, you can even use a shortcut which is Ctrl+D. The next one we have Select Inverse. So when you choose this option, you can see it will select just opposite of the previous selection. And again, if you use a brush tool over this, then this selected region will only be filled. So the next option we have is Style. In this option, you can see here are three options: Normal, Fixed Ratio, Fixed Size. If you go for the Normal as your style option, then you can select the area of any width and height, and there are no restrictions regarding this. But if you go for the second option, that is Fixed Ratio, then you can see width by height ratio of 1:1 by default. So whenever you use this option, you will only create squares using 1:1 ratio. But you can easily change the ratio by going in the Properties section. So if I change these values as 2:1, then you will see the rectangle. Now this is the rectangle of 2:1 ratio of width and height. The last option in Style is a Fixed Size. In this, you just have to put the size of the selection here in these two options. Now we are using the default value of 60 for pixels. For this option, you just need to left-click over any place where you want to drop this selection, and you don't have to drag the cursor. It will automatically select wherever you click on the canvas. So next to it we can see Select and Mask. So we will learn this in the separate next video of the mask layer. Now if you come over this Marquee tool and right-click over it, then you can see that there are other three different Marquee tools of different shapes hidden. Select Elliptical Marquee tool. This tool is used to make round selection over any object. Even we can select in oval shapes using this Elliptical Marquee tool. So if we go for the properties of this, then you can see it is similar to Rectangular Marquee. And the function of these all are also the same. Let's see some of the things in this Marquee tool too. Let's make some shapes. If you right-click, then you can see the same properties here, like Deselect, Select Inverse, and Feather. We have already talked about these three already. So in this tool we are going to learn three more features from here. They are Layer via Copy, Layer via Cut, New Layer. Here you can see these three features, starting with the Layer via Copy option. So basically this option helps us to create a new layer of the selected portion. As I have selected the circular region, you can see that in the background. If I apply Layer via Copy, then it will create a new layer just like this. In the Layers panel you can see a new layer with a circle as an object in it. It is just a copy in a white background, so you can't see any difference even if I move an object. So we can hide the background layers, and here you can see only the white circular area is present in the canvas section. So this tool basically provides us a new workplace to work without harming our real work. Moving to our next feature, which is Layer via Cut. It is similar to the previous feature, but instead of just copying the selected area, it cuts out the selected area and pastes it into the new layer. So if I apply this feature, then you can see a new layer, just like before, is created in the Layers section. But if you see the background layer properly, then you can see there is a small black region. It is the portion which we cut out using layer via cut. Once we hide this new layer from here, then you can see it has hole in it from where we have cut out the selected area. Let's quickly move back to normal. This feature is generally used when we want to change the background of a selected object. The next option you can see is a new layer. It is just a normal tool as we have in the Layers panel to create a new layer. It has nothing to do with the selected area. Here, we created a new layer using this feature, and you can see, it is just a normal layer. It is just an optional function to the one in the Layers panel. Moving to the Main Properties section on the top head of the window. As I said earlier, there is not much difference. But if you watch this section properly, then you can see an option of anti-alias. Before talking about this option, let me make two circular objects, one using anti-alias feature and another without it, and fill both of them using background color. After seeing these two objects, you can conclude that it makes a lot of difference. So it is basically used to make a soft finish and blur in the edges. If you see the object made without anti-alias, then you can see that it has more sharp edges. So it is used to make a soft finish over the edges of an object. Even if you see these two objects normally, then you can see the one with anti-alias feature looks good. As you can see, all features match with the rectangular Marquee tool. So it's time to move to another selection tool, which is Lasso Tool. Lasso Tool is a simple and unique tool which provides us to select areas using freehand drawing. We just need to make an outline to select the area using the Lasso Tool. Here, I selected some areas using this tool, and you saw how simple and easy that was to select. If you want to either add or remove any portion, then you can use Add or Remove selection from the top of the window. Even this selection has the same properties and features. By selecting Add to Selection, you can add in the previously selected area. As well as if you go for Subtract from Selection, then you can remove the selected portion too. If you want to intersect any area, then you can use that too. The next lasso tool that come up here is Polygon Lasso Tool. The use of this tool is to select the area using straight lines. This helps us a lot when we have to select definite objects like television, laptop, or mobile phones. Here, you can see once you left-click, you have a straight line to draw and select object. You need to use left-click to get a fixed point. If you want to undo any fixed point, then you simply click on backspace button in your keyboard and your last fixed point will be removed. Else, if you want to finish your selection, then you need to go to the fixed point from where you started to use this tool and left-click nearby it. By this way, you can use the Polygon Lasso Tool. If you once take a look toward properties, then you can see the same features. You can add or remove the selection using Add to Selection or Subtract to Selection, just like other selection tools. By selecting Add to Selection, you can add in the previously selected area. As well as if you go for Subtract from Selection, then you can remove the selected portion too. If you want to intersect any area, then you can use that too. Before using our next lasso tool, let's first open the image in which we are going to use this tool. If you want to download similar kinds of images, then you can search for stock images in Google. And you can find many stock images providers for free, so you can use them as copyright-free material. You can even find stock video from this website. I downloaded this image from Pexels. Let's move back where we left Photoshop previously. The next lasso tool is Magnetic Lasso Tool. And this tool is used to select objects quickly and is usually used when objects are of different colors. Let's select this banana using this tool and see how this tool is used. If you ever move towards the wrong side while selecting, or either your cursor got spilled, then you can go back by clicking backspace and moving your cursor backwards simultaneously. If you see the Properties section, then you can see the different than other selection tools. Here you can see width, contrast, and frequency, which were not before in any other selection tools. If you look into the width section, then it has 10 pixels as default value. This value represents you can choose between 10 pixels in either direction, then also it will automatically detect the color change. If your cursor goes beyond 10 pixels, then it will move with the cursor. If I change the value of width little more, than you can see, I can run the cursor more far than objects than before, and it will be easier if your hand isn't stable and you can select any object quickly. Next, we have contrast and frequency. I would like to suggest you keep this value the same as it is. So the last tool which we use for selection is the Quick Selection tool. This tool is one of the most used tools by me. This is just the simplest and the most convenient tool one could ever use to select. Let's have a look at this amazing tool. Did you watch that? It's that simple to select any object using this tool. Basically, it selects the matching colors around it, and while we are going to select any object, then most of the time it is of the same color until the object is rainbow or peacock, right? If you have a look towards properties, then you can see there is a change here. But don't worry, only the symbols are changed, not the functions. The first one is the new selection tool, which makes a new selection. The second one with the plus symbol is the add to selection tool. And the last one with the subtraction symbol is the subtract to selection. If you noticed, then you may know it doesn't have anything like intersection to selection. The next function after this is about the brush, which we use during selection. If you click in this, then you can see we can change size, hardness, spacing, angle, and more of the brush. You can increase or decrease the size of the brush according to your need. The next quick selection tool is the object tool. If you guess with the name only that this tool automatically selects the object, then you are right. Let me show you how. If I select the whole portion with a bigger rectangle than this banana, then here we go. It automatically selects the banana only. It is also most often used to select any specific object. If you see the properties of this tool, then you can find it is the same like Marquee and Lasso tool. Another feature after this is mode. If you see the options, then you can find the rectangle and lasso option. I already showed you the rectangle selection tool. Now let's see lasso. Previously, we needed to select carefully, but in this quick selection you can use lasso as same as a rectangle tool. Just cover the whole banana with the circle or any irregular shape. Now look at this. The last and the only selection tool left is the magic wand tool. This tool also uses the colors as base to select the area. If I try to choose a banana, then you can see it only chooses the area with similar color. If you look towards the top bar, then you can see tolerance there. If you increase the value of tolerance, then you can see it almost selected the whole banana. So the tolerance helps us to increase or decrease the value of change in color difference. Let's move every value to default. If you try to select again in the banana, then you can see it selected only in this small area. But if you uncheck this contiguous button and again try to select in the same place, then you can see the difference. The difference is it selected more areas than before. It is because if we check this box, then it will only select the color continuously. But once it is discontinued, it won't select. But without contiguous, it will look for the color in the whole canvas and select every single part of it. The next property you can see is sample all layers. If you uncheck this box of the sample all layers then and select any empty layer, then you can see it selects the whole layer. But if you check this box and try to select it on canvas, then you can see it only selected the area with the same color. So this helps us to find the best one while using the selection tool. This was the detailed explanation of selection tools in Photoshop. I know the video is a little longer than usual, but if I had made a shorter one, then it wouldn't have covered this whole portion in just a single video. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, then subscribe our channel startcrash, and don't forget to hit the bell icon. So thank you for watching our video, and if you want to learn Photoshop, then you can simply check the Photoshop tutorial series.